Something deep within you has shifted, drawing attention from certain people who find your mere presence unsettling. You sense how their discomfort grows when you enter the room, and though you've done nothing to provoke them, it's as if they're threatened by an energy they can't quite name. If you've noticed tension at work, among acquaintances, or even within your own family for reasons that make no logical sense, you're not imagining it. You've elevated your vibrations so significantly that it forces others to confront their own limitations. If this resonates, please like, subscribe, and drop 77 in the comments to let the universe know you're open and ready for even greater alignment. Chapter 1. Recognizing the weight of your vibration. One of the most surprising realizations you might have made recently is that your simple act of being can unsettle those who are out of sync with your energy. It's not about how you look, speak, or dress. Instead, your higher frequency shines a spotlight on the areas in which others are stuck. They might never admit it, but your growth highlights their stagnation. Your empathy points out their self-absorption, and your kindness contrasts with their grudges. That clash of frequencies can spark irritation in anyone who isn't prepared to address their own shadows. You've likely encountered a range of reactions: silent stares, passive-aggressive comments, or sudden coldness. It might come from a colleague who's older or seemingly more experienced, like a supervisor who inexplicably picks on you, or a relative who always seems to question your choices for no apparent reason. They see you as a threat. On the surface, they may criticize your decisions or dismiss your insights as naive. Beneath it all, they're wrestling with insecurities triggered by your evolving presence. Understanding the impact of your vibration helps you realize you're not at fault. You're simply reflecting truths they'd rather not see. An older boss or father figure might dominate conversations as a form of maintaining control, but deep down they sense your clarity, even if they refuse to acknowledge it. Your presence alone stirs a primal fear. What if people discover I don't have all the answers? And so they respond with subtle jabs, undermining your perspective to reclaim the upper hand. This might confuse you, especially if you've been nothing but respectful. Yet, the issue lies not in your words or actions, it's in your very essence. Your high vibration also acts like a magnet for those who secretly crave healing. While some are repelled, others are drawn to you, sensing an unspoken warmth. Notice how certain friends or strangers open up about their troubles. Their openness might overwhelm you at times, but it's a sign that they feel safe around you. They sense a rare genuineness, a willingness to see them without judgment. Conversely, those who live in fear project their anxieties onto you. They might gossip behind your back. They do everything they can to exclude you. If you find two co-workers whispering about you or a friend group drifting away, it often means your light inadvertently exposes their unresolved issues. Yet, your path isn't about pleasing everyone. As a chosen soul, your task is to stand firm in love, even when love itself becomes a provocation to those entrenched in negativity. It's crucial to remember that your goal isn't to fix them. Your priority is to sustain your own peace, to remain unwavering in your growth, and to let your vibration be a silent teacher. In time, some of them may follow your lead, recognizing that stepping into a higher frequency can liberate them from their self-imposed prison. Others might continue to resent your glow. Regardless, your role remains the same: to hold the light you've been given without apology. Chapter 2. Embracing your evolved spiritual gifts. You've stepped into a phase of heightened awareness, where intuitive flashes, vivid dreams, and uncanny insights have become your new normal. These abilities aren't mere coincidences, they're the natural byproduct of operating at a higher frequency. While they can be exhilarating, they also set you apart from those who struggle to understand anything beyond the physical senses. This divide can widen existing tensions, especially if you're surrounded by people who cling to rigid worldviews. At first, you might have questioned your experiences. Perhaps you accurately predicted an event before it happened, or sensed dishonesty even when someone insisted they were telling the truth. Over time, these moments became too frequent to dismiss as happenstance. This newfound clarity isn't limited to big revelations. It extends to subtle shifts in energy. You can sense when a colleague's mood dips, even if they smile on the surface. You feel the undercurrents of family conversations, recognizing the hidden pains no one dares to voice. It's as if an invisible layer of life has been revealed, giving you a richer, more complex understanding of the world around you. This deeper vision can be both a blessing and a burden. On one hand, it enhances your empathy, allowing you to offer support exactly when someone needs it. You become a confidant, a safe space for others to confide in. But on the other hand, the intensity of these insights can be overwhelming. When you recognize a friend or relative is lying, even about trivial matters, you might feel disappointed or alienated. Or you might see through an older figure's facade of authority, discerning the fears and insecurities that propel their harsh demeanor. This awareness can unsettle them because it dismantles their carefully crafted illusions. As your gifts evolve, it's essential to ground yourself daily. Rituals like meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature are crucial. These practices keep you balanced, preventing you from absorbing too much of the emotional debris swirling around you. They also help you recalibrate after intense encounters, clearing away energy that doesn't belong to you. In a world teeming with stimuli, learning to separate your emotions from the collective noise becomes a form of self-preservation. Equally vital is the art of discernment. Not everyone is ready to receive the truths you perceive. Sharing your insights indiscriminately can backfire, especially if it triggers someone who isn't prepared to confront their shadows. Sometimes it's wiser to hold space in silence rather than force your perspective. This measured approach protects your energy and respects another person's autonomy. By only offering guidance when asked for, when it's genuinely needed, you maintain the purity of your vibration while sidestepping unnecessary conflict. You might wonder why these heightened abilities surface now. Often, spiritual breakthroughs align with life's transitions, like a move, a new relationship, or a personal crisis. Think of it as the universe handing you tools precisely when you need them. As you accept these gifts, your life purpose becomes clearer. You may feel drawn to counseling, teaching, or any field that allows you to serve as a bridge between the seen and unseen. What's crucial is that you use your talents ethically and compassionately, recognizing them as a sacred responsibility. Chapter 3. Facing those who weaponize insecurity. Even as you grow more certain of your path, you'll encounter individuals who react to your energy with hostility or calculated undermining. Their behavior often stems from a place of deep insecurity. They sense your purity of intention, your genuine desire to elevate yourself and others, and it clashes with their unresolved fears. Instead of introspection, they lash out, condemning you, claiming you're showing off or trying to outshine them. This is especially common in hierarchical settings, like a family dynamic ruled by an authoritarian figure or a workplace where an older boss claims control. Such people might drop snide remarks, attempt to sabotage your efforts, or twist your words to stir conflict. Their underlying fear is that your competence and authenticity will unmask their inadequacies. For instance, you might propose an innovative idea at work only to be shot down by a supervisor who later presents that same idea as their own. Or you might notice a relative who praises you in public but criticizes you in private. These contradictory behaviors reveal a tug-of-war within them. a reluctant admiration for what you represent, coupled with a compulsion to protect their fragile self-image. Responding to these tactics can be tricky. You might be tempted to fight fire with fire, proving yourself in a dramatic showdown of facts. However, direct confrontation often intensifies the tension. A more effective approach is to remain calmly assertive. When they attempt to belittle you, avoid taking the bait. State your perspective clearly, without aggression. This response unsettles them because they expect either submission or hostility, and your centered composure offers neither. You become an immovable object in the face of their chaos, reflecting back their insecurity without a single word of accusation. Another challenge arises when gossip or slander surfaces. Perhaps you catch wind that two co-workers are whispering about you. They might be debating your integrity, your skill set, or your personal life. The temptation to refute rumors directly can be strong, but consider this. The more energy you give to such drama, the more it distracts you from your mission. By focusing on your growth and letting your actions speak louder than gossip, you inadvertently disarm them. People eventually notice consistency. If you remain kind, diligent, and genuine despite the whispers, onlookers will question the rumors more than they question you. It's important, too, to protect your emotional health. High vibrational energy requires mindful boundaries. If you must interact regularly with these disruptive individuals, like a boss you can't avoid or a family member you still live with, limit personal disclosures. They might twist your vulnerabilities against you, so share only what feels safe. Simultaneously, cultivate relationships with those who appreciate your growth. It's in these supportive circles that you'll find encouragement, fresh ideas, and emotional nourishment. The biggest takeaway is that not everyone who challenges you is a villain. Many are simply grappling with their unhealed wounds. Seeing them through the lens of compassion doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior, but it frees you from holding on to resentment. You remain centered, remember your worth, and refuse to adopt their negativity as your own. In doing so, you transcend the need for validation from those who can't understand your journey. Your role is not to drag them into the light, but to move forward, trusting that your example may one day inspire them to follow. Chapter 4. Protecting your space and energy. As your vibration rises, it's easy to forget how much your environment influences your state of mind. The stronger your light, the more crucial it becomes to shield it from forces that aim to dim or distort it. This doesn't mean living in isolation. Rather, it's about consciously creating a sanctuary within your daily life where your growth remains the priority and the negativity of others doesn't take root. The first step is recognizing toxic dynamics for what they are. Often it's a subtle draining of your spirit rather than overt hostility. Maybe you feel exhausted after a short conversation with a certain coworker, or your mood plummets after browsing social media content loaded with fear or gossip. Pay attention to these shifts. They're signals that your energy is being siphoned by external sources. Once you identify these triggers, you can adapt accordingly. Limit your interactions, set time constraints, or reduce exposure to digital spaces that inflame your anxiety. One powerful technique for protecting your energy is visualization. Imagine a sphere of golden light surrounding you, acting like a filter that lets love in but keeps negativity at bay. You can practice this in the morning before starting your day, or whenever you sense you're in a challenging environment. The key is consistency. Over time, your subconscious will accept this protective boundary as a natural extension of your aura, making it easier to navigate spaces rife with low vibrations. Equally important is the practice of detoxing your mind. Cut back on content that glorifies conflict or fear. This can mean watching fewer horror films, limiting exposure to dramatic reality shows, or stepping away from certain news cycles that bombard you with distressing stories. It doesn't mean you ignore real-world issues, but you handle them from a balanced place rather than letting them intrude on every corner of your life. Replace these with activities that uplift you, nature walks, uplifting music, or even reading material that expands your sense of possibility. Emotional distancing is another tactic. Sometimes you can't physically escape a toxic family member or co-worker. However, you can limit how deeply you let their words or actions affect you. Remind yourself that their negativity is a reflection of their internal turmoil, not an indictment of your character. This might involve responding with polite neutrality rather than diving into arguments. It might also mean confiding in someone you trust about the emotional toll, ensuring you don't carry the burden alone. Lastly, deliberate self-care forms the bedrock of sustaining a high vibration. Whether it's regular exercise, meditation, journaling, or a creative hobby, your soul needs consistent nourishment. By dedicating time to these activities, you recharge the spiritual fuel that keeps your light burning bright. The more you pour into self-care, the less you feel pulled off center by external turmoil. With each positive choice, you affirm your worth and solidify your boundaries, crafting a life space that supports your continued evolution rather than undermining it. Chapter 5. Embracing the solitude that fuels growth. In a world that worships constant connection, it's easy to interpret times of solitude as loneliness or failure. But for someone vibrating at a higher frequency, solitude can become a wellspring of personal power. You may have noticed that as you grew spiritually, certain friendships faded. You might find it harder to connect with people who once shared your interests because your conversations now revolve around deeper truths they have no desire to explore. This can be disorienting, but it's a natural part of ascending to a new level of consciousness. The solitude you experience isn't a permanent exile. It's a transition phase where your energy recalibrates. When old attachments or habits fall away, space emerges for new, more aligned connections. During this interim, you learn to rely on yourself for validation and companionship. You begin to realize how much of your life was dictated by other people's opinions, or how often you compromised your needs to maintain harmony. Without these external voices dominating your inner dialogue, you can hear the quiet wisdom of your own intuition. There's immense freedom in this. Solitude gives you permission to discover what truly brings you joy, absent the weight of social expectations. Maybe you rediscover a passion like painting or writing. Maybe you'll embark on a new spiritual practice or immerse yourself in studying topics that broaden your worldview. Each pursuit becomes an act of self-discovery, drawing you closer to your authentic identity. And the more comfortable you become with your own company, the less likely you are to settle for shallow relationships just to avoid feeling alone. This doesn't mean life becomes hermetic. You're simply refining how you invest your time and emotional currency. As you do, you attract higher vibrational relationships. People who resonate with your values, your drive for growth, and your yearning for meaningful dialogue. It might be as simple as connecting with someone at a workshop or encountering a kindred spirit while traveling. You'll recognize them by the ease with which you share space, the mutual respect that underpins your conversations, and the sense that you're both on parallel journeys. Still, solitude can sting. When you witness others socializing freely, apparently unburdened by existential depth, you might question why your evolution feels like a barrier to belonging. That's when you must remind yourself that your path is unique. You've been chosen to bear a light that naturally sets you apart. Rather than interpreting this as a curse, see it as confirmation of your special role in the collective awakening. It's a role that demands you maintain clarity of purpose and spirit, often requiring you to step back from the noise of the crowd. Solitude then becomes a teacher. It insists that you cultivate a relationship with your inmost self, trusting in more than the fleeting opinions of others. In the quiet, you witness your wounds and also discover your capacity to heal them. You confront your fears and uncover reserves of courage you never knew you possessed. When the right connections eventually arrive, you meet them from a place of wholeness, not desperation. By learning to stand strong in solitude, you prepare the ground for enduring and harmonious bonds built on mutual respect and spiritual alignment. Chapter 6. Rewriting the script of your destiny. Once you've embraced your heightened vibration and taken steps to guard your energy, your perspective on your future shifts radically. You no longer feel bound by past limitations or the judgments of low vibrational critics. Instead, you sense an urgency to explore new avenues, perhaps in career, relationships, or life purpose that mirror your personal evolution. You realize destiny isn't something handed down, it's something you actively shape. You might feel pulled toward a different city, envisioning fresh opportunities that match your amplified energy, or you're inspired to start a creative endeavor or social cause aligned with your newfound clarity. These aren't random impulses, but your soul's response to a heightened frequency. Where you once saw barriers, you begin seeing openings waiting to be claimed. Doubt may whisper that you're not ready or that it's too late. Yet, you've overcome such insecurities before. Even a small step, a short conversation with a trusted ally, or a quick phone call to inquire about a new opportunity can trigger a chain reaction. Opportunity can trigger a chain reaction of positive outcomes. The universe tends to reward tangible acts of faith. Display genuine intent, and you'll find synchronicities confirming you're on the right path. Embracing the unknown becomes a hallmark of your transformation. Yes, the same energy that unsettles lower vibes also attracts the right people, experiences, and resources to support you. Miracles can become almost routine, solutions and mentors appearing at just the right moment. Notice these coincidences as the universe speaking a language you're finally tuned in to hear. Meanwhile, rewrite old self-defeating narratives. If a voice in your mind insists you're unworthy, counter it by recalling moments you overcame adversity, acted kindly despite your own struggles, or made intuitive decisions that saved you from chaos. This mental shift from self-doubt to self-affirmation isn't mere positive thinking. It's the stable foundation your elevated vibration thrives upon. Finally, practice patience. A new life direction won't solidify overnight, but once your outer world aligns with your inner growth, progress accelerates. Each day you refuse to dim your light, you grow more adept at wielding it for constructive ends. Every time you dodge energy-draining influences, you preserve the strength needed to invest in your goals. Like an artist refining a masterpiece, you shape your destiny one brushstroke at a time, guided by the higher calling that first awakened your spirit. Chapter 7. Standing fully in your radiant power. Now that you've recognized the patterns, strengthened your boundaries, and set your course for a future that honors your growth, the final step is to stand unwaveringly in your radiance. This isn't about arrogance or self-centeredness. It's a calm, unbreakable assurance rooted in knowing you're aligned with a higher purpose. You no longer downplay your gifts or shrink to please others. Instead, you live in a steady, compassionate power that elevates your environment. People who once undermined you might still orbit your life, but their influence wanes in the face of your authentic self-confidence. If they try to unsettle you, you respond with firm grace. Even if a family member or boss throws negativity your way, you hold your ground without stooping to retaliation. You don't need their approval because you validate yourself every day by living truthfully. Regardless of whether they ever acknowledge you, You keep flourishing simply because you've chosen to. You'll notice your relationships improving. Genuine friends and kindred spirits gather around, forming a network of mutual respect and encouragement. In this circle, you can share your experiences without fear. They appreciate your heightened perspective and reciprocate with their own positivity, creating a cycle of supportive energy that strengthens everyone involved. Your newfound power also shapes how you pursue goals. Fear of failure fades into a mild whisper compared to the bold promise of possibility. You move forward with calm determination, trusting that each step, win or lose, serves your larger mission. While others may chase success frantically, you proceed with deliberate purpose, confident that challenges only deepen your resilience. A wonderful byproduct is how you affect strangers and casual acquaintances. A simple kindness, kind words to someone struggling, speaking up on behalf of the overlooked, can alter their day. Such moments validate that your energy is a gift, not just for you, but for anyone who crosses your path. Just by being your authentic self, you inspire others to connect with their higher potential. In this radiant stance, you fulfill what it means to be chosen. You become a torchbearer, illuminating confusion without always preaching or demanding change. Even those who resisted your light might eventually come around, drawn by your peace and sense of fulfillment. Standing fully in your power won't free you from all trials, but every test becomes another chance to rise. This is both the culmination of your ascension and the beginning of an unending voyage of discovery and service, carrying a flame of love and wisdom no darkness can extinguish.